the Bunnyman.
And I'm Crazy Susie.
And we are in the Eyes of Terror.
And we're back again with our Yuletide movies.
Yes. And tonight's movie is Christmas Evil.
It sounds evil and scary, but it's really just about a deranged man that thinks he's Santa Claus.
Yes. So here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus.
We watched this movie on Shudder, but it's also available on YouTube.
Yes. And we watched the 1980s VHS copy.
It's retro style. This film came out in the 1980s.
No, it came out in 1980.
1980, yes. IMDb gave it a 5.2 out of 10. It's a slasher thriller. It's an hour and 33 minutes long. It is rated R. Because, you know, in 1980s, if there was a drop of blood on the film, it usually was rated R.
But then they got really relaxed, and then they didn't. It's a weird time period for that rating system of ours.
This movie originally was supposed to be called Terror in Toyland. Terror in Toyland. But when everything went to print to make the movie posters for it, it ended up coming out as Christmas Evil, You Better Watch Out. I don't think the director and writer were very happy about that change, but, you know, they went with it. And the synopsis is a psycho in a Santa suit gets to decide who's been naughty and who's been nice. The director is Lewis Jackson, and it's starring Brandon Margot, Jeffrey DeMond, and Diana Hull.
Okay. This movie is actually making a huge comeback I've seen lately. Like, I've seen it, I think they just came out with anniversary on it, or it just seems like it's coming back into the pop culture. And I completely didn't realize it until we were doing research that it did. So, like, I saw a lot on, for some reason, Twitter, and stuff like that. So, yeah. We weren't trying to copy anybody. We found it and we were like, oh, let's try this one. Originally, I don't think we were going to do this one because it really wasn't terror-y enough.
Yeah, it's kind of low-key compared to some of the stuff that we've done, but Santa's pretty whacked out in this movie. So.
Yeah. It's more of a psychological thriller, I would say.
So we decided to do it anyway.
Would you agree? I wouldn't call it a slasher. It has slasher elements.
Yeah, but it's nowhere near as gory as some of the other stuff.
Well, that's why I call it a psychological thriller. It's interesting to see the spiral of what happened.
Yeah.
So, but it has the beginning, like all great slashers, that shared one moment that they just become meso, such as their childhood, in that one scene where Santa's crossing legs. Oh baby, oh baby, oh baby.
Yeah. Messed him up real bad. So this film starts out with you're looking inside a house and you see a mother and her two sons sitting on the stairs and they're watching Santa come down the chimney. Santa walks across the room and he starts eating the milk and cookies that the little boys left for him.
There's no milk. It was like punching bread. And this was Christmas, 1947. Christmas Eve, 1947.
Yeah, and Santa's kind of chuckling, and he's munching down, drinking it.
You know what? If I was Santa Claus and I came across somebody with punching bread, I'd be like, good. My glucose system could just calm down for a little bit. I may not have to take 20 insulin shots at once.
He goes over and he puts presents under the tree and he fills the stockings. And one of the boys, laughs out loud. And Santa leaves. The older boy... I skipped a line. Then the boys go to bed. The youngest boy told the older boy You know that was our father dressed up like Santa Claus, don't you? So the boys were laying there in bed, trying to drift off to sleep, and the older boy gets curious and he decides to go downstairs and investigate. He sneaks down the stairs and he sees in the living room his mother in her house robe and Santa Claus on his knees
Caressing that leg.
with his hands up his mother's house robe and just rubbing her legs with his mother in her underpants. I mean, he can see his mother's underpants. And Santa has his head on his mother's stomach, and he's just got both of his hands going up and down her legs, just caressing her legs. And he's got his face all nuzzled in her stomach, and he's just rubbing her legs, just going to town.
I was actually sort of confused by that whole, like, scene. It was just...
So the boy runs back upstairs and throws the snow globe on the floor and cuts himself with the glass.
Mm-hmm. So that begins our trip down Nutty Lane.
Yeah, it fucks him up. It messes him all kinds of up. Seeing Santa
Rubbing those legs like a
violate
piece of ham.
his mother like that. He was just like, no, that is not right. It kind of made something twist up in his head somewhere. The next scene is present day. Now the boys are grown men. The older brother, Harry, he's waking up for the day. He is wearing a silk Santa suit. That's what his pajamas are.
So he pops out of bed, right? He's like, oh, like, I'm Santa Claus in the morning.
Yeah, he was covered from head to toe in red silk pajamas that were edged in white fur.
Yeah.
He even had a Santa hat that was a silk Santa hat.
Yeah. And he had, like, pictures of Santa Claus. Just
His entire apartment was decked out in Christmas decor.
Mm-hmm.
Bathroom, kitchen, bedroom, everything. Everything was decorated in Christmas.
Yeah.
This apartment would make me sick to my stomach if I had to look at Christmas stuff all year round.
And I mean, he was like hipping and hopping, and he was all happy to be awake and like.
Even when he shaved his face, he used the shaving cream to make a big white beard on his face, like he was Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
This dude has some serious I want to be Saint Nick issues.
I mean, he really liked Christmas. But he does have post-Santa feeling up his mom syndrome. So, there's that. Because every time he sort of sees, like a real-life Saint Nick, like Santa Claus, he sort of, like, freaks out. And he flashbacks to that whole, like, leg caressing scene.
Yeah.
Completely unsexy.
He uses binoculars or looks through the window of other people's houses to spy on the neighborhood children to see if they're naughty or nice. Then he makes notes in these big books that say nice or naughty, or good or bad, sorry. He keeps notes on the neighborhood children under their name. He keeps ledgers of who's naughty and who's nice.
Can you
his
imagine
good and bad books?
Could you imagine trying to do that today? Like, what type of deep crap you would be in today for...
Spying on neighborhood children?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be in jail.
Well, he really does not like one boy, because that one boy likes Penthouse. And as he puts it, negative body image.
Well, he said that the boy has unclean thoughts and a negative body image.
And he doesn't...
Because he cut out a naked picture of a woman who is very skinny.
Yeah. And you were sort of like, ooh. What everybody at that age sort of does. I mean,
Right.
now we have the internet. I mean, but...
He works at Jolly Dreams Toy Factory. He did work on the line assembling toys, but now he's an office manager.
Yeah, and we see him, he's like lecturing the line workers about how the toys are not good enough. They're crap. You know, how would you feel about having your kids take these playing with these toys? And they really are crap toys.
Yeah.
So, and then everybody's like, oh, you don't longer work on the line. You're not one of us, basically.
Right. Well, he gets pushed around by one of the line workers. And the line worker tells him he's not coming in. So, you can cover my shift, right?
Yeah, Frank.
So, Harry ends up working over through the next shift on the line. He gets off the shift. He's going down the street, and he sees this dude in the bar laughing at him. Telling his buddies, ha ha, I got one all over Harry. He thought I was leaving for vacation early. My wife didn't want to leave early. Ha, I got Harry to work his shift for me. He's a sucker.
Yeah, he goes into his house and he picks up, or his apartment, because it's pretty like a crappy apartment, to be honest. But it has like a bunch of Christmas toys and...
Harry hums Christmas songs all the time.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what he's doing. He could be tying his shoes, putting a shirt on, shaving, getting up in the morning. It's like this dude farts Christmas.
Yeah.
He could be walking down the street. It doesn't matter. He's humming freaking Christmas songs.
But we sort of start seeing, start seeing the decline after that, because he goes into his house. There's no lights on, and he grabs like a toy and just starts shaking it. Just really starts shaking it, and he's punching it, and he's really starting to get upset. So we can tell that there's something not right in the old.
But even while he's doing that, he's going, jingle bell, jingle. He's like humming it. You know.
Yeah.
He's always like humming Christmas music.
Yeah.
It's like he's just further emphasizing that love-hate relationship he has for that season due to that trauma he had as a child.
Yeah.
It's like he has like severe PTSD about Christmas.
No. It's PSFUMS. Post Santa feeling up mom syndrome.
He goes to his brothers and watches them through the window. Harry calls Phil, who is his brother, on Thanksgiving and cancels his plans to come over for dinner. He stays home, watches the parade, and works on his Santa suit. He looks into the window of a naughty boy, smears mud on his face and hands, and puts his face and hands against the house to leave a marking. We are still unsure as to why he did that.
So I have one of two theories. Is sort of like the Krampus, because the Krampus is always like mud looking, black muddish looking, if you look at the traditional imagery. Mm-hmm. Or in Norwegian tradition is Black Pete, mm-hmm. which again, but he's more like covered in soot. I don't know, but he hides out in the bushes and scares the kid, and the kid's like, there's a mud monster or something in the bushes. Mm-hmm. It's the same kid that was cutting out the Playboy image or penthouse or whatever it was.
I don't know, but I always thought that was weird. I don't
yeah,
really understand why he did that.
That one sort of doesn't make any sense. I can understand marking it with the mud, but the way he does it, and we found out that the boy's mother is not the most pleasant of people, so we sort of start seeing where the boy gets it. So, just something.
Well, Harry makes his own toys. He really tries to embody the essence of Santa.
Well, okay, so after that, doesn't he go to the lakeside and... No.
This is where... Now we're up to the part to where he goes to the Jolly Dream Christmas party.
Oh, okay, yeah.
At the Jolly Dream Christmas party, the employer encourages the employees to give money so the factory can give toys to the local children's asylum.
Yeah, so there's this video playing as he walks in, and it's like the employer's in the Bahamas, like the owner's in the Bahamas. It's something tropical, and he's like in a button-down T-shirt and Hawaiian T-shirt, and he was like, "Yeah, you should. We're giving the kids. We're giving the money. We're giving toys to these kids in this place, but we're not going to make all the donations. So you really should, if you want to help out, you really should give up like half of your funds too, to really make the holidays, that Christmas, even more special for these kids." So it's basically, we're not going to do the work. We're just, we're trying to put on a good face, but it's really the employees need to do their bidding.
So at the party, Harry gets to meet one of the new partners. And Harry asks the guy, so this guy is supposed to head up this project,
Well, he's marketing. That's his title, is marketing.
He was the guy that started this project of making sure these kids get the toys. And so Harry wanted to know, how are you going to know if each child gets a gift? And the guy was like, "What do you mean if each child gets a gift?" And Harry said, "Well, do you know how many children there are?" And he said, "What does that even matter?" And Harry's like, "Of course it matters. What's the point in giving the children gifts if not all of them receive one?" And he basically just told Harry that he's making a mountain out of a molehill, and if he was so concerned that every child gets a gift, then he needs to help contribute and encourage the other employees to contribute.
And now you can start seeing where Harry is starting to lose it even more.
Oh yeah, this is definitely the decline where it's, if you hadn't noticed it before this, you definitely notice it now.
But I can sort of understand where he's coming from, because I think it's bullcrap that the company does go, you need to do your part to do this, basically, but the company's not going to do it. It's an empty promise, it's...
Right. So, this upsets Harry because they don't plan to make sure each child gets a toy. This is the beginning of his decline. Harry leaves the Christmas party and fills sacks with toys from the plant. He fills sacks, he goes by the lake and fills a couple of sacks with dirt.
Well, it's not just dirt. I mean, you got to think. I think this is like New York, isn't it? Around that area. It's a big metro area. Mm-hmm. So you got to think, it's not just mud. It's a lake mud. And lake mud has a very unique odor, shall we say.
So it's like stale fish?
Yeah. And other things that are not...
Sewer backwash?
Yeah.
And he goes home and he glues on his beard.
Yeah, so he...
What the weird part is, he glues on his beard and everything. He glues it on. He makes sure it's all lined up and he glues it on real good. And then he grabs it with both hands and he pulls.
He starts really, going at it. He's trying to make sure it doesn't come off.
And he's pulling it and he's like, ugh! Ugh!
But he's laughing at the same time.
It's almost like he didn't expect it to hurt. And his eyes are watering because it hurts so bad. But he keeps pulling it like he's really honestly trying to rip it off.
Okay, so here's my theory on it. Is that because he doesn't have his own beard. Without beard, he is Harry. Mm-hmm. With beard, he is Santa. Mm-hmm. So we're starting to see that, not the huge, at this point, there is no slope. It's just a plummet to the ground.
Right, the progression.
Yeah. So
the evolution from Harry to Santa.
But I said, there's usually a gentle slope. No, this is just a directly off the cliff, directly down.
Right.
So I think the beard, him pushing on the beard, he's like, it's actually me. It's me. I'm Santa now. Mm-hmm. Look, it's attached. It's like the Miracle on 34th Street type thing, where the little girl pulls on Santa's beard and he goes, ow! That's real. Mm-hmm. I think it's sort of like that similar thing.
Okay. And now it's Christmas Eve. What is it? So he goes to the house of the naughty kids and he leaves them a big bag of dirt. And he actually takes some of their gifts he goes to his brother's house, and he leaves his brother's kids and some of the other good kids, he leaves them some of the gifts that he made, some of the toys he made.
Oh, you did make an interesting observation about his brother's house.
His brother's house is the same house that they grew up in.
Mm-hmm. We did miss that there was he did during the Macy's Day Parade during Thanksgiving. He shrugged off his brother. It's not a huge thing, but it is a like they were announcing the entire time like Santa's coming, Santa's coming. You know, during the Macy's Day Parade, and his brother's calling him, was like, "Where are you?" It was during Thanksgiving, and he's like,
right. His
just
brother
sort of
made a
shrugs
big
off.
deal that he usually comes to his house because his brother's married and has 2 sons. You know, his brother normally comes to his house and has Thanksgiving dinner with him. Well, he was watching the parade, and he got enthralled with the parade when he saw Santa showing up on the parade.
But I mean, it was just sort of like a minor, like you get that. That's another point where you could, I guess, you could put a a marker going. Now you see more of the decline.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like at first there's a gentle decline, and then it just cliff time with the beard.
He drove to the state hospital.
Okay, so let's talk about the vehicle here. It is your atypical rape van.
Yeah, and on the day Thanksgiving, when he made his suit and everything, he dressed up his rape van and painted a great big sleigh on the side of it.
Yeah. So what we mean by a rape van, it is always a joke when...
One of those 1980s great big vans that have no windows.
Yeah.
Except for the front doors that have windows and the windshield, that's it.
And then, but his outfit too is not your traditional like store-bought Santa outfit. It's actually a very classical long coat, and it has more traditional fur. It's not just pure white.
Right, it's got that brown tint to it.
Mm-hmm. I actually like this.
It's more of a natural looking.
Yeah,
fur.
he actually looks more like a traditional Santa Claus than, let's say, the big old fat guy. Mm-hmm. So I actually like that styling of Santa Claus.
Yeah.
It was just sort of like...
It's more of a traditional Germanic style, isn't it? Yeah.
It's the old St. Nicholas.
Right. Yeah, and he, on Thanksgiving, when he made his suit and everything, he painted the great big sleigh on the side of his van. The weird thing is when he drives his van, the more times you see him drive it with the sleigh on it, the more he gets into hitting his steering wheel and going, on Dasher, on Dancer.
He's also, if you notice his eyes,
and you hear whoosh, whoosh.
But you also notice his eyes. He's becoming frantic. He's becoming, he's...
And he drives more recklessly too. The more he drives,
because he's feeling like that he feels like he is no longer Harry. Like I said, he is Santa, so he has to make his rounds. He has to see all the children. He can't, So it starts off with him going to, It's not an Santa side. It's more of a, I don't know what it is. It's
like an orphanage.
An orphanage, yeah.
But they call it the Children's Hospital.
Yeah, it's a, children's hospital, orphanage type. It's like unfortunate children type situation, and I think that's where he got really upset. Was the lie, and then so he encounters the security guard at the
security guard basically told him he was nuts and he needed to leave, and he hands the security guard a gift. So the security guard tells him to stay outside, not to come in. And he goes in and brings out like the head nurse, and he tells the head nurse, "I'm here to give gifts to the children. Have all the children been good this year?" And she says, "But of course they have." And he says, "Okay," and opens the back of his van, and the back of his van is slap full of gifts. From
Jolly Dreams, because he just stole a whole bunch of them.
Right. And he says, "I guess you need to get more people." So she gets her staff to come out and help unload all the gifts and take them inside for the kids.
So the only part that is sort of like glaring for me at this junction is who wrapped all the presents. because all the presents were wrapped in the back. So I don't, that was the only sort of like, who wrapped all these presents? But I assume that they may have an auto wrapper at the shop.
Well, the thing is, some of the gifts he took from other people's houses.
True. Yeah. Who knows?
When he went to people's houses, the
No,
naughty kids,
yeah.
he took their gifts and gave them a big bag of dirt.
Yeah, but he also took gifts from his work, so...
Right.
But it looked like all the gifts were wrapped in the back of the van. That's what I was trying to get at. So,
well, all the gifts that were in red boxes that had like that
the Jolly
candy
Dream
cane stripe across them, they say Jolly Dream. So they may have like an auto wrapper thing, like you said, because they had their own wrap.
Yeah. It was just something I was wondering. But
who knows?
I mean, so they pull out all the gifts, and he jumps back into his van and mushes off again.
Yep. He goes to the church, and his, like, the CEO of the company.
Yeah, because at the company party, they were saying that they were talking about with the marketing guy that he's a new hire, and he's the one that did the entire marketing campaign thing. But he's like, yeah, I lied. That's my job, is to lie. I don't care about it. I have no feelings. I don't even care about these children. That was his whole sort of like, and so that put him on Harry's crap list. But he was telling that the CEO was like, well, you have to come with us to mass because my wife wants it. So they go to the Catholic Church, which happens to be the biggest Catholic church, I guess, in that area.
Right. But he had told Harry that, the owner had wanted him to take him and show him around town, and he's going to go to midnight mass with him, and he wants him to take him to the rental house or cabin or whatever. Basically, they're going to be living it up.
Yeah.
And Harry doesn't get
crap
anything.
But Harry, before going to the church, makes this toy soldier out of pewter.
Yeah.
Especially for this. There's a whole sort of like work scene montage thing that I'm just still trying to figure out where that was at, but workshop thing. There's certain like things where you're watching the movie and you're like, I don't understand where this is at, but
so he gets to the church, and is it that guy that he stabs, or is it somebody else?
So he starts getting harassed.
It wasn't that guy, it was somebody else.
No,
there was a younger guy that came up to him and starts making some shrewd comment about Santa Claus. So his little soldier guy is in his pack over his shoulder. He reaches in the pack and grabs him. And he had what is it?
A lance?
A sword or something.
It was a lance.
And he takes that part of the little soldier guy and just stabs the dude right in the eye with it.
Yeah.
That made me cringe.
Yeah. And then he proceeds to hack like 3, or it was like altogether like 4, I think.
He takes an axe.
A hatchet.
A small axe. Okay, a hatchet is really just a small axe.
Okay. But
isn't it?
Yeah, but...
Okay, a hatchet. He takes a hatchet and he whacks this dude over the top of the head with it, and the dude goes down. And this other guy standing beside him and this chick standing beside her start freaking out. So he just goes hacking at them too, and everybody else standing around are just like, ugh. There was a big whole crowd of people that had just came out of midnight mass, and they're all standing there witnessing Santa Claus hack these people up. So he, gets back in his van and he's off. Gone to the next place.
Yeah. And I mean, now he's starting to really panic. So, and then...
So he runs away, and he's driving down the street, and he stops. He sees this party. He looks in through the window, and these two guys see him looking in through the window. The kids get excited that they see Santa Claus. They ask him to come in, and he gives the kids gifts, and he dances and hangs out for a while. Then he decides, I've stayed here long enough. It's time for me to leave, and he leaves again.
Well, he gives the kid some lecture, about being good and staying out of trouble and...
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the reason why he left, because he says, if you're good, I'll bring you good things that you'll enjoy. And if you're bad, well, you don't want to know what'll happen if you're bad, so you better just be good. And people were kind of like...
Yeah, you could start seeing, like...
Okay.
Yeah, you can start seeing sort of like the crowd just going, all right, just slowly back away.
So he's like, okay, I've overstayed my welcome. Now I'm going to go. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
And he leaves. He goes to the house of the line worker...
Frank.
...that screwed him over and got him to work his shift. He breaks into the house.
This one is probably the most interesting.
He tried to get into the house via the chimney.
Yeah, and...
Which was very funny.
Well, he found out that he can't get into through the chimney. So,
how does Santa do it?
Yeah.
It must be a secret that he doesn't know.
Well, if you would wait till like the Santa Claus, with Tim Allen, Disney's Tim Allen Santa Claus, know that Santa Claus expands the.
He doesn't have Santa magic, does he?
No, he doesn't have Santa magic. He didn't kill Santa Claus.
You didn't take the coat of the real Santa, dummy. You can't make your own. It's not magic. So he figures out the chimney isn't going to work. It's too small.
Yeah, so he's trying to just struggle to get out of it, and he falls. He falls like he makes so much noise, and I'm like, how can anybody not wake up? I mean, he falls out of the chimney onto the top of the roof, and basically... But the funny thing is he realizes he cannot get up onto the roof without using a ladder. I think that would have been the first giveaway. Maybe I should not try to get through the chimney. If I have to climb... And again, where did he get said ladder?
I don't know, but it was a disaster.
Yeah.
So he gets into the house. He finds the guy's room. He wakes him up. He takes his pack of toys and he suffocates the dude with them.
He tries. He tries horribly to suffocate the guy with a bag of goodies. His wife the entire time, though, dead as a log. She is just gone.
Nothing wakes her up. Well, suffocating the guy with his bag of toys doesn't work. So, on the nightstand beside the guy, conveniently is located a small Christmas tree.
Yeah, there's like 2 Christmas trees in this house. There's a big one and then one in their bedroom. It's weird.
So on top of that Christmas tree is one of those dinky little 1980s plastic star tree toppers. The kind that have the little lights in each corner. He pulls that off the tree and slices the dude's throat with it.
Yeah. And kills him that way. He lands on top of his wife.
That wakes her up.
Yeah, and the wife starts like silently screaming.
She's like, while she's staring at the dude. Santa's staring at her, Harry, and she's like, By this time, the dude's kids are up.
Yeah.
They're standing in the living room trying to figure out what the hell's going on. So he pulls himself together, grabs his sack, starts running through the house. When he gets into the living room and the kids are staring at him, wondering what the hell Santa's doing, his wife starts actually screaming to where they can hear her scream, and he bolts out the front door, gets in his van, and drives off.
Yeah.
How does a family pull themselves together after that? And actually, how would a woman, seeing her husband be killed, be covered in his blood, tell her kids, okay, kids, let's see what Santa brought you now?
Yeah. Okay, so I gave that kill a 2 out of 5. Because it was just a very awkward kill to even begin with. Like, I don't understand the goal of trying to strangle somebody. I mean, not even, like, trying to suffocate somebody with a bag.
A bag that has boxes in it.
Yeah. I mean, like, the forethought was just not there.
And how did he manage to cut his throat open with a plastic star?
Sharp corners. It says so on the box.
Okay. So now it's Christmas Day. Phil is very upset because Harry is not at his house on Christmas Day. He knows something's wrong. He knows it. He just knows it. He keeps telling his wife, I know something's wrong. I know something's going on. And Phil's wife is saying, you just need to calm down. Maybe you're just overreacting. You never trust your brother. You know, he's a good man. You always think the worst of him. Harry wakes up in the back of his van outside of the Jolly Dream plant. He goes inside and starts up every line.
Well, he goes in and he picks up an airplane and just breaks in his hand, like just a plastic airplane that just shatters in his hand.
Well, it doesn't break in his hand. He picks it up by the wings.
Yeah.
And he breaks the wings off, like forcibly breaks the wings off.
And then he's
like, these toys are crap. I told them they don't know what they're doing. And there's a whole table of these airplanes. And he just goes through and snaps all the wings off. And he's like, these two toys aren't fit for anybody. And he just starts snapping all the wings off. Well, he goes in and he turns all the lines on. And all the toys that are on the lines to be assembled just fall off into the floor.
And then he gets on top of this like scaffolding, and he's just ear to ear grinning, watching this just happen.
Yep, he's just standing up there like he's the king of the castle, looking over his land.
Well, because like I said, and I think you questioned this one, and I was like, my theory is that this is the bottom. Mm-hmm. He is now fully Santa Claus.
Yeah.
He sees that Jolly Dream is not a company. He is no longer a manager. He is Santa Claus. This is now his company. He's pissed off with the elves, and he's trying to, punish the elves for not making good quality toys.
Mm-hmm. So Harry goes into one of the offices, and he calls Phil and tells him not to worry. There is a lineup at the police station because they're looking for this crazy Santa that killed people.
Yeah, and this lineup is really weird. Like, I think it's on a stage or whatever, but I mean, it looks like the Santa Clauses are just giants. There's a policeman in the corner, and he just looks like a midget compared to these. They look like giant Santa Clauses. And just thought that was the weirdest thing. I'm like, what's going on here?
We're not sure where Harry is at this point, but he starts driving around again, and he drives up this street that's lined with these, like, lit up glowing snowmen.
Yeah, it's dark again. And so I think he spends a lot of time in the factory, like trying to sort of lay low,
right,
but at the same time destroy the factory at the same point.
And he ends up in this alleyway.
Well, his truck like crashes into this
pile of
snow, and he can't get his van out. But he notices that it's lined up with like reindeer and snowmen and blah blah blah.
Right. I think it's probably a part of his neighborhood, but I hadn't seen that part before. But he ends up walking down that street and into this alleyway, and the neighborhood kids end up coming up to him and hugging him, and you see familiar faces of children in his neighborhood. Yeah, their parents end up walking up to them very nervously and telling the children to stay away from that man and come back to them.
And he starts handing them gifts. Like, he hands them toys because he also has a sack full of toys.
And the parents are very nervous, and they're saying, that's the man we heard about on the news. And so one of the dads comes up to him with a switchblade and tells him, leave these kids alone or I'll have to do something about it. And the little girl stands in front of Santa Claus, or Harry, and tells her father's the one with the switchblade, leave him alone, Daddy, blah, 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 blah. And he pushes the little girl out of the way and tells her to go over there with her mother, and the mother gets in between her and Santa Claus and tells her husband just to calm down and everything, and he pushes the wife out of the way too.
And the wife stabs him in the face with a brooch.
No, not the wife.
Some old lady.
Well, the father ends up falling and he drops the knife. Well, the little girl picks up the knife and hands it to Harry. Well, Harry ends up trying to run away, and there's an older woman that's in the group. She pulls a brooch off of her sweater and she stabs him in the face. Well, he just manages to get away, gets his van started, and drives away to get away from the crowd. And they all gets their torches and pitchforks so they can chase him down.
So, I'm thinking this is set in New York City, so there's nothing like a good Christmas in New York City without a torch mob chasing down a Santa Claus
I know it.
in a rape van. Sounds like the holidays to me.
So he decides to go to his brother's house. So Harry says he did all of this because at what Phil said when he was a little boy. Phil says, "You killed people because what I said when I was 6. I didn't believe in Santa." Phil chokes Harry. He thinks he kills him. He drags him outside, puts him into his van, and he stands there and freaks out. So Harry comes to finally, and when Phil isn't paying attention, Harry clocks him. I mean, he punches him. And
just slugs the guy.
then Harry speeds off, drives off a bridge.
No. Oh, he speeds off, and the torch mob finds him. So, do they throw like a GPS tracker on the van? And they're like, he's on North 4th. Let's go! You know, like, so you're seeing this angry torch mob, you know, trying to kill the Frankenstein monster, trying to get him to a windmill. So Harry's driving his van, and he's starting to get frantic, and I think he's starting to realize, like, crap, I really screwed up at this point. Mm-hmm. I think he's starting to realize that he's no longer Santa because he now has a body count.
Right. Well, he's still driving the van like it's a sleigh. Mm-hmm. And he starts driving it over this bridge. Well, the bridge is not connected. The bridge is up. So he's driving it over this bridge, and you see him go over the bridge, and he's up in the air. And the movie could end in 2 ways. You could look at it this way. You see him drive off the bridge, and he's in the sky. So the 2 endings are, he drove off the bridge and kills himself. Or he drives off the bridge and he flies away. Just like Santa Claus.
Because, I mean, it looks like the van is flying, so it's a Thelma and Louise concept. You know.
Well, it depends on if you look at life as glass half empty or glass half full.
Yeah. So
you can think of it as he took the easy road out and killed himself, or you can look at it as Santa Claus.
No, I really don't think that he realized that. I think there was a part of realization that he has a body count, but he also still is hanging on to the idea that he's Santa Claus.
I mean, he played the part to the very end. He was still driving that van like it was a sleigh. Well,
he was driving the van as a sleigh. He even said to all a good, all a good night, blah blah, ho ho ho, all a good night, as he was flying the van. So he was in his head still Santa. Like I said, I think with the torches, he realized he screwed up. But I think at the same point, that 1 second of I screwed up, I have a body count now, I am, no, it's not Santa. Then he's like, no, I am Santa. So therefore, I can fly. Because my van is now my sleigh. So it's not going to hurt me, type thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a very interesting movie. And I think it's very underrated. But it's definitely not a slasher film.
No.
And I think that's what sort of like we really originally didn't want to do this film because it wasn't what it said it was. But I think watching it the second time around and realizing it was.
Well, the thing is, For when it was made in the 80s, it would have been considered a slasher film. In today's time, no.
Yeah, because this was even before Jason and all the other ones.
Right. So for the time period, it is what it says it is. But for today's standards, then no, it wouldn't be.
So, okay, let's just go into the rating, then we can discuss it a little bit. So, I give it a 3 out of 5. I think it's actually a really solid. I mean, it's a pretty solid film.
Yeah.
There are parts I really enjoy. I just have some questions that really just sort of bother me throughout it. But overall, I think
I really enjoyed the storyline. I thought it was nice.
I think it definitely will end up in our holiday lineup. Something we watch every year.
Yeah.
You know, it just I think there's a lot of like theories you could add to this movie. Like, did he become Santa Claus? You know, at the end, did he just go completely nuts? I sort of feel sorry for Harry because he really had nothing going from his brother didn't even like him. You know, the only people that really did sort of care for him is that girl, the little blonde haired girl that he had a fascination with, because to him she was the perfect child. I mean, he even had a school photo of her in his house.
Yeah, that was kind of creepy.
Yeah, and then his brother's kids. Those were the only people that gave a crap about Harry. Outside of that, his employer doesn't give a crap about him. He works a crap job.
Well, his sister-in-law cared about him.
Yeah.
She would always get upset with her husband if he fought with him and stuff, or said bad things about him.
But, I mean, he lived... And now, you could say that he did it to himself. But I think he did that job because he really believed that Jolly dreams... Because I think he always saw himself as a Santa Claus-like figure. So Jolly Dream just sort of, like, helped with that. He was giving gifts to kids.
Right.
So, I think he always, like I said, the only question not the only, but the one thing that really sort of bothers me is just, like, that first scene where his dad is feeling up his mom's leg. How that would set him off. That one sort of irritated me a little bit. Like, I just questioned, like, how would that...
Because I think maybe in the time period that they were trying to set it in, it was very taboo for women to show their legs and stuff like that. It was a time period where women wore hosiery and things, and he didn't even...
Or maybe it was just like he didn't even see his mom as a sexual being.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess, okay. And the other thing that sort of bothered me, and this is just completely random, why, over his brother's mantle, his fireplace, why is there a picture of an airplane wing? I'm trying to figure that one out. It's a huge picture of an airplane wing. So... But, I mean, overall, I did enjoy the movie. Like I said, I think it would be better if it would say psychological. Because it's definitely... I think it's one of the very few films in the horror genre that betrays slipping into madness really well. Like subtlety and nuance of slipping into madness. It's not just a switch. I'm going to kill people.
Yeah.
It's more of he didn't mean to kill the people he did. Like he in his mind, his only targets were his boss, that marketing guy, and stuff like that. He didn't mean to kill those 3-4 people at the mass. They got in the way of his targets. And he just snapped.
Right.
Who else did he kill? Wasn't that about it?
No, he killed the co-worker that screwed him over.
Well, okay. But that was, in his mind, justifiable. I mean, he meant to kill that, but he didn't mean to kill the 4. But in a way, it's justifiable. Just really sloppy on how I did it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is Christmas Evil.
Yeah, definitely watch this one.
It is a really good movie. Let's go watch.
It definitely does have Christmas throwing up all over it, though.
Yep.
All right. So be safe out there this holiday season. We'll do another. We have another. What we have another lineup movie, Scent, which is a Norwegian film, and then we have a New Year's film, and that will end off the holiday season. Did you want to do a sort of like a talk, like a terror talk? We haven't done those in a while about things that we like and dislike about Christmas as a whole.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
But just be careful. It's even down here. It's been crazy this year.
You realize you're rambling. Yep.
All right. Bye.